France's Mistral is out raising at a $5 billion valuation just 4 months after they raised at a $2 billion valuation. Welcome back to the AI Breakdown Brief, all the AI headline news you need in around 5 minutes. Today we kick off with a fundraising story, an exclusive from The Information. France's Mistral, which is of course an open source darling and one of the hottest LLM builders, is apparently in talks to raise fresh capital at a $5 billion valuation, just a few months after closing money at a $2 billion valuation. Mistral closed on $415 million at their previous valuation back in December. So why might there be appetite for this next fundraise at a higher valuation? I think there are a couple pieces of this. First of all, in the subsequent months, Mistral inked a big deal with Microsoft. That included releasing their first non-open source model through Microsoft's Azure, which could easily have suggested to investors that the company had a pathway to real revenue. More relevant, though, in my estimation, there are only a tiny handful of companies that have any credibility as a plausible leader in the frontier and foundation model space. You've got OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Meta, Grok, and Mistral. Maybe you could nudge it open to Databricks and Cohere, but the point is that this is a very, very small group. What's more, it's a group that has gotten smaller. Inflection, which raised more than $1 billion last year to get the compute to actually compete in this area, still ultimately decided that it was too big a mountain to climb and ended up mostly going to Microsoft with that recent announcement. I believe that investors have a broad sense that the value for winning even a piece of this market is so tremendously huge that the valuation for credible competitors in the space, that very small handful of credible competitors, is just not going to be the barrier. That doesn't mean that every investor is willing to sign up at any valuation. I know several investors, for example, who have balked at the valuation of other companies on that list. But I think by and large, what this reflects is the sense of just how significant the pie is for winners in the LLM space. And despite being only a year old, Mistral is a serious contender. Now, in addition to that unconfirmed funding news, we also got more model updates from Mistral, who uploaded their 8x22b model, as well as a brand new Instruct 8x22b with function calling on Hugging Face. The model is fluent in English, French, Italian, German, and Spanish. It's a 141 billion parameter model. It has a 64,000 token context window, and it's released under the same Apache 2.0 license that they've released previous models on, which includes, of course, an OK for commercial use. Mistral also dropped a chart showing the relationship between performance and cost, with 3 of their models, Mistral 7B, Mixtral 8x7B, and Mixtral 8x22b, all being at the very best end of the performance and cost ratio. Bindu Reddy of Abacus writes, apparently the new Mistral model meets Claude Sonnet and is a tad bit worse than GPT-4. In a couple of months, the open source community will fine-tune it to beat GPT-4. This is a fully open weights model with an Apache 2 license. I can't believe how quickly the OSS community has caught up. And if you're wondering why Mistral would be pushing hard right now, one of the reasons might be that, whether it's this week or very soon, Meta's first versions of Llama 3 are soon to arrive. Mistral's big competition in the open source LLM space when it comes to developer mindshare is, of course, the Meta Llama models. So to me, overall, not that surprising to see a big fundraise, although going from a $2 billion to a $5 billion valuation over the course of 4 months, by any previous industry standards, would be slightly insane. Next up, another big theme right now is the move to try to get models to work on local devices and local hardware. This is, of course, Apple's great pursuit as it tries to bring AI models to the iPhone and its other suite of devices, but it's happening everywhere. You've heard lots and lots of companies talking about the AI PC era, for example. AMD has this week unveiled a new set of chips that are specifically designed for these AI PCs and will be included in devices from HP and Lenovo. In making these chips for the AI PC market, AMD joins both Intel and NVIDIA, who are also looking at the space. Another random little area in which AI is finding its way into hardware, Logitech is now shipping a mouse that has a dedicated AI button. The Verge writes, tomorrow's AI PCs may not only have a Copilot key on their keyboards, Logitech is introducing its own way to summon ChatGPT 2. It's called the Logi AI Prompt Builder, and it'll use a dedicated button on your mouse or keyboard. What's more, it appears that this prompt builder doesn't just pull up a chatbot when you press the button, but also offers an interface to actually improve prompts. So are AI buttons the next big thing in devices? I suppose we will have to wait and see. Finally today, as every company tries to figure out how to participate in the AI revolution without supporting or encouraging misinformation, companies are trying to figure out what their solution to letting people know that something was generated with AI. Basically, every big social network is thinking about how to do this on their platforms, and Snap is reportedly planning to add a watermark to AI images that are created with Snap tools. Interestingly, this will not be an invisible watermark that can be picked up by a specific reader, as we've seen the approach being from some others, but instead will be a visible mark, a translucent version of the Snap logo with a white outline. The company says that removing the watermark will be a violation of their terms of service. The question, of course, will be whether that means they've just incentivized people to go to Midjourney or DALL-E or somewhere else to create an image that doesn't have a watermark. Right now, all these companies are still taking baby steps in this space because there's no regulatory pressure so far to do anything more. How much longer that stays the case remains to be seen. For now, though, that is going to do it for today's AI Breakdown Brief. Next up, the main AI Breakdown.